Hi, this is Tim Robbins, and you're watching The Whole Podcast.
Welcome to The Whole. I am Rob Sprance.
I'm Franco Del Valle.
I'm Lori Levine.
I am so very excited. Chazz Palminteri is joining us. Chazz, thank you so much for hanging with us. We've been looking forward to this one for a while.
Well, thanks very much. Pleasure to be here.
Someone like you that is such a great storyteller in general. It just fascinates me that not only do you have a great enough story to become its own film, but then on top of that, you have a great story about the story as well. Like just your entire journey to me is absolutely fascinating and how it happened. But before all of this, and you even got to that point,
right?
What were you doing before you started working on Bronx Tale as a one-man show? Did you always wanted to do acting? Did you always want to do writing and everything like that? Or
Yeah, I was an actor in New York, and but like everybody else, I struggled. Got a little thing here, a little off-Broadway thing there, then didn't work, then got another part at the Manhattan Theater Club, and then didn't work again. That's the way it goes for an actor, and then finally I decided to go to LA. And I had, great theater credits, but I didn't have any real, film or television credits, to be honest with you. But then I went out there and I decided to try my luck there. And I started, and I hit right away. When I say hit, I got on Hill Street Blues for a few episodes and Dallas and Matlock, and I did a Peter Gunn TV series, miniseries, and then another miniseries. So I was like here and there, okay, not steady, but every few months I would land another one, and then finally I just started running out of money again. And you want to hear the whole story?
Sure.
Okay.
Oh, absolutely. And
tell us about the nightclub.
Okay, well, I'm going to get to that right now. And what happened was I ran out of money, and I decided to go back to what I was doing in New York. I used to box, and I was a big fanatic about boxing and working out. So then I used to bounce in different clubs in the city. So I got a job as a bouncer in LA at one of the swankiest, hottest clubs. It was called 2020, and it was in Beverly Hills. And I got a job there, and I was really good at bouncing because I was very personable. I could talk anybody out of anything. I always had a good mouth, and I could calm any situation down.
So you were a good bouncer where you didn't want to fight. Where
I was like the Perry Como of bouncers. It was nice. And, I would always, because I always believed if you're going to get violent, you should give the person every opportunity not to get out, to leave. So this way, if you have to get, a little violent, you don't feel bad about it because you deserved it, because you tried everything to get him out, and he still didn't listen. So I was always very nice, and the boss loved that about me. And then one day I was working there, and there's three things you never do. And I'll tell you guys, never do this to a guy who's working the door. When you see the velvet ropes, there's three things. Now, if you do one of those three things, you're not getting in.
Okay.
One, if you say, "Do you know who I am?"
Never.
Cannot say that because that's out. That means you're not getting in. Or two, if you touch the ropes, grab the ropes and try to get in.
Okay.
Or three, if you get in the bouncer's face, that's another thing.
Yeah, that should be common sense. That third one.
Common sense, right?
Yeah.
So this guy goes over to me, grabs the rope, gets in my face, and says, "Do you know who I am?" So he broke all three rules.
Yeah.
Right? Because I wouldn't let him in right away because I didn't get to him right away. And I said, "Yes, you're the guy who's not getting in tonight." So he got really mad when I said that. And he said, "You'll be fired in 15 minutes. So I said, "Yeah, right, sure." And 15 minutes later, the boss came out. And he saw me and he said, Chazz, do you know who you just did not let in? I go, who? He goes, that's Swifty Lazar. Now, Swifty Lazar, for those of you who don't know, you might be a little too young, but Swifty Lazar was the biggest agent in the world.
Oh, great. Great time.
In the world. Not in New York, not in the world. Okay, his clients were like Elizabeth Taylor, Richard Burton.
Wow.
You know, Richard Nixon. I mean, he was like, this was the guy. And I just told him he couldn't come into his own party. It was his party, but he was
Oops.
But he was so rude to me, I didn't know that. You know, I didn't know who he was. So make a long story short, I got fired, just like you said. 15 minutes later, I'm in my car. I'm in my 1972 Honda Civic, and I had a little hole in the radiator. I had to keep putting water in it every 3 or 4 days. And I came back to my little dumpy apartment in Hollywood. And I said, what am I going to do with my life? I had about $200 in the bank left. And I said, well, if they won't, I saw my father's card on the refrigerator. It said, the saddest thing in life is wasted talent. So I said, well, if they won't give me a good part, then I'll write one myself. And I went to Thrifty Drugstore. I got 5 tabs of yellow paper. And I said, I'll write about the killing that I saw. I always wanted to write about that because I always thought about it, about this killing. This guy killed a guy right in front of me, and I was sitting on the stoop, and I befriended him. And what happened was I just wrote that 5-minute piece, and I performed it for my theater workshop the next day. And people were just stunned, like mouths are open. So I said, wow, okay. So then I kept going. I would write 15 minutes, 10 minutes, but I kept trying it out. So out of the 10 minutes, I would keep 5 minutes and throw out the rest because I kept taping every time I did it, you know?
Which is great because most people write the whole thing before and it's harder to get the feedback on it.
Right. So I would hear feedback talking and I kept rewriting, making it better, making it better. So at the end of like 10 months, almost a year, I had 90 minutes of a one-man show. I said, I'm going to play all the parts. I'm going to do a movie on stage myself and play all 18 parts. And so I borrowed money off one of my friends. He lent me money, and I produced the show myself. I hired a publicist. I got a theater. It was 60 seats, the theater, small little theater, and I performed the show. Well, bam! It was like a rocket ship. It was like my career just went like, it was like amazing. I can't explain it. There were lines around the block. It was like a phenomenon. It was so bad, well, actually so good, but it was so good that we had to go to a bigger theater. So we went to the theater where I developed it, which was Theater West, which was 300 seats, selling that out every night.
Wow.
Lines around the corner. Stars kept coming. Nicholson came, Burt Reynolds came, Pacino came.
Wow.
They all came to see it because they all wanted to play Sonny.
Yeah.
And all the directors wanted to direct it. And all the studio heads wanted to acquire it. It was the biggest phenomenon since Rocky.
Yep. And it's kind of a Rocky-ish story too, because you stuck to your guns because nobody wanted you in that movie.
No, they didn't want me. They said, you're a wonderful actor, Chazz. You're a theater trained actor, but we can't make a movie with you in the lead. Nobody knows you. I said, well, that's great, but I wrote it, so that's the way it's going to be. Right. And they said, oh, well, so what they did in Hollywood, when you say that, they go, just give them more money. So they offered, that's what they said. So they offered me $250,000, and I had no money, and that was the hardest offer to turn down because it came out of nowhere, to be honest with you.
Right.
And then I said, no, I want to play Sonny. They said, forget it. And then I went to $500,000, and I said, look, I got to play Sonny. I got to write the screenplay. It's my life. They said, no, we want to get a great writer. We want to get a big star.
Yeah, great writer. Meanwhile, they all love it, and you wrote it. So, like, you know what I mean? Like, the irony is ridiculous. You know?
Yeah, of course. So I said no. So, and then I signed with a William Morris, and we went to another meeting with them. And I remember distinctly, we sat down at a table with all these guys, very famous studio head, said to me, he pushed a piece of paper to where I was, and he said, if you sign that paper, you'll have a check for $1 million tomorrow. And my words were, right after that, I said, is there a bathroom here? And he said, yeah, right over there. I said, I'll be right back. So I walked into the executive bathroom, went to the bathroom, washed my hands, looked in the mirror, and I put my hand in my pocket. And in my pocket was the card. The saddest thing in life is wasted talent. Yep. For some reason, I took it. I don't know why I took it that moment. Mm-hmm. And I looked at it, and I just said, can I curse here? No.
Yeah, you can. Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. I looked at it, and I just looked in the mirror, and I said, fuck it.
Yeah.
And I put the thing back in, and I walked out, and I said, listen, I'll sign that paper, but I have to play Sonny, and I have to write the screenplay. Mm-hmm. And the head of the studio just went like this. He put his head down, and he said, Chazz, this movie will never get made. You know that, right? And I said to him, you're right. It won't with you, but it will get made. And he says, what makes you so sure? Mm-hmm. And I said, because it's too fucking good.
Yep.
That's why. And he said, well, I wish you luck. I said, okay. So I left. The crowds kept getting bigger. More stars kept coming.
And now when that happens, you're starting to make some money off the show, so the pressure's off a little bit, right?
Oh, no. The money you make off Broadway, it was nothing. I'm paying everybody. It was literally peanuts.
Yeah.
Peanuts, not much at all. Because I'm paying the guy who lent me the $40,000 to put it up. I'm paying him back, which was only right. Mm-hmm. So then finally, I did the show one night. I get off stage, and the stage manager walks over to me. She goes, hey, Robert De Niro is in your dressing room. He just saw the show. He's waiting for you.
Oh, my God.
I said, Robert De Niro? So I walked downstairs and
Act like you've been there.
I walk in the room, and there was Bob sitting in the chair waiting for me. And he said, I remember his words. He said, that was the greatest one-man show I ever saw. I said, oh, thank you. He goes, that's a movie. You did a movie. Mm-hmm. You played everybody. Yeah. I said, yeah. I go, you could see the movie. He goes, yes. He goes, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. He says, you should play Sonny. You'll be great as Sonny. And you should write it because it's your life. He goes, I'll direct it, and I'll play your father. And if you shake my hands, that's the way it'll be. I shook his hand, and that's the way it was, and that's what happened.
See that? Absolutely. And, just to touch on this, because there's so much you're still working on now, and while we're on the topic of the one-man show, I just want to let everybody know that you still do the one-man show.
Yes.
It's still to this day. And I while I'm a huge fan of the movie, I've never seen it, and I really do want to come and see it.
Oh, I'll send you up for tickets. When I do it again, you go to chazzpalminteri.net. Mm-hmm. That has my schedule there of my one-man show, or my Instagram, and it'll tell you when I'm doing my one-man show. Obviously, because of COVID, I'm not. But starting in June or July, I start doing it again, and it'll have my whole schedule for this year and next year.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and it's definitely something that I want to see, because The Bronx Tale, there are a couple of huge ones that you're in, and I don't want to move off of Bronx Tale just yet, but there are a couple of huge films that you were in, and even though it's funny, I watched them all again before we sat with you, and it was like I was saying the lines along with them, especially with Bronx Tale. Yeah. And I didn't realize that the wasted talent line came from your dad also.
My father, that's my father's line, yes.
Yeah, so what parts of the story are more fabricated versus what's real? Obviously, you did see someone get killed. You did spend time with people, with the mobsters throwing the dice and that kind of stuff. Are there any parts of it? That's
true. What I did was, I'll give you an example where I embellished, and I always said this. What happened was, when I saw the killing, exactly like in the movie. I mean, exactly like in the movie. Mm-hmm. My father dragged me upstairs. What happened was, I never went downstairs. There was never a lineup. Okay. What happened was, the cops came in, and my father refused to let me go downstairs. He said he's not going down. And the cop said, did you see who did it? I said, no. He said, how could you say no? Everybody said he was sitting right there. And I said, I don't care what anybody says. And my father was doing most of the talking. Yeah. And he goes, did you see anything to me? And I said, no, Dad, I didn't see anything. And he goes, he didn't see anything. I'm not going to get him involved in this. So he convinced the cop that I wasn't going to say nothing. And that was it. You know, but what happened was the next day when I saw Sonny, he walked by the stoop and he looked at me and he just went.
Yeah. He acknowledged it. Yeah.
Like, you're a good guy, kid.
Yeah.
And I didn't know really. I knew he meant something and I smiled. And that's how I got to know him. And that's how it all happened. So there was never a lineup, but I embellished that because I thought it would make the bond more close with me and him. I did have a relationship with a black girl. Guys that I knew did die in the thing. What happened was I never got in the car where Sonny pulled me out. What happened was I got in the car, I thought of my parents, and I backed out of the car.
Wow. That's very, very close, though, man.
Very close.
Yeah.
Very close. You know. So a lot of it is true. I just compressed the stories where it happened quicker.
Yeah, makes total sense. And then when you're making this movie, you know, it's your first film. You've never done a film before. You while as trained as you are for the stage, you know, you're now thrown into the scenario where you're writing your first screenplay and you're working with Robert De Niro on it. That's a hell of a way to dip your toe in the water.
But I always felt that I you know, I have immense confidence, and I always had that confidence, and I felt that I belonged there.
Yeah.
You know, I always felt that I belonged there.
Well, how you were like 39 years old, right?
Yes.
Like, I feel like you, in your head, you were like, I worked for this. I've been doing so much theater for so many years.
10 years doing theater. And don't forget, I studied with Lee Strasberg in the 70s. I mean, I had a pedigree behind me as far as studying goes, you know. So I really worked really, really hard. And I always felt I was as good as, you know, I could act with anybody, you know. I don't know. It's just something that my mother and father always said, that I was going to be a star. Even when I was a little kid, they told me I was going to be somebody. And my two sisters are very successful. So my parents did a great job on all of us, you know.
Mm-hmm. Now, and then you started for the movie, you started to round up real wise guys, or try to find real wise guys to be in this movie with Robert, right?
That was Bob's idea. Bob said, I don't want to use any actors. And I was like, what?
The studio must have been crazy with him through this whole process.
No, he just said, I want to use real guys. Yeah. You know, and I said, okay. You know, I mean, great. You know, I mean, he's Robert De Niro. You know, I got to trust him, right? He's the director.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was great. The only problem was when you cast something like that, you got to see thousands and thousands of guys to get people who could act.
Right.
You know, who can act naturally. But we had funny, I mean, to get these guys to walk in, I'll give you an example. Eddie Mush, that is Eddie Mush in the movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That is the real Eddie Mush. we couldn't find somebody to play Eddie Mush. So we went up to the neighborhood, and I said, Bob, if he's anyways by the way the bookmakers are. And we go up there, and there's Eddie Mush. Right by the bookmakers, just like I said.
So even though you have no contact for him, you just pull up and he just happens to still be there.
So I get out of the car. We were in a limo, a town car. It wasn't really a limo. And I got out and I walked over to him and I said, Eddie, how you doing? He goes, hey, see, I hear they're making a movie in the neighborhood. I said, yeah. Listen, come over to the car. Robert De Niro's in there. He wants to meet you. And he says, get out of here. I'm not going over there. Bullshit. He goes, I owe too many people money. I'm not walking over to a car. He thought I was going to hit on him or something. Eddie, he's in the car. So I get him to walk over to the car. He taps on the window comes down. Robert De Niro goes, hey, how you doing, Eddie? And Mush goes, holy shit, it is you. So Bob goes, listen, I want you to come. It was Thursday. He goes, I want you to come tomorrow to my office, and I want to read you. I want you to read some lines to play Eddie Mush, right? And we're all laughing, right? Yeah. So now picture Robert De Niro saying to you guys, could you come to my office tomorrow and read for this part? Now, what would your answer be? Of course, right?
Yes, I'll do it now.
Yeah, don't even. Yeah.
Eddie Mush goes like this. Tomorrow. He goes, Bob, calls him Bob right away. He goes, Bob, would it be all right if I come Monday? And Bob goes, well, yeah, okay, but what's so important? And Mush goes, I got to catch the Daily Double at Aqueduct.
Oh, my God.
I was going to say, I bet you it's Yonkers.
Daily Double. And he goes, and Bob goes, fine, okay, go ahead, go. In the car, Bob goes, come on, who's better than this guy? He's perfect.
Right.
And he got the part right there, yeah.
Yeah, you wouldn't even know it, too. He did a good job on his lines, for sure.
Great. He was a natural actor. Actor.
So was Bronx Tale filmed in the Bronx?
No, it was filmed in Astoria, Queens, and Brooklyn.
Oh, look at that.
We couldn't do it in the Bronx because we had to close off all of Arthur Avenue and 187th Street, and it was just too busy at the time. We found a block in Astoria where it was like 93, it was a bad time, and there was a lot of empty stores. So we kind of took over the whole block and put our own stores in. That's what we did.
Yeah, I mean, you can't tell. It looks just like, I mean, we're New Yorkers, so you can't tell. I watched it.
It looks like Arthur Ave.
I didn't go, that's Queens.
Well, the same architect who built that church built the church in the Bronx, so that was pretty neat.
Very cool. So did you have other? Were there other people that since he wanted regular people? Were there some people that you really were in the wise guy business, organized crime, or anything like that? Do you think any?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, really?
There were no. There might have been one. Supposedly, there was one made guy. I don't know if he was made. They say he was. He passed away now, so I don't really know. Usually, made guys don't want to be in movies. They can't. Right. They can't do that. I mean, real made guys. These guys were on the fringes. They were like more like soldiers, maybe. They weren't really made. But I mean, the first time we did the crap game scene, Bob wanted to use real money because De Niro is like that. He goes, no, I want to have real money. I don't want fake money. It looks fake. I want the feel of the money, the wrinkles, the way it sounds. Mm-hmm. So the prop guy comes in with $10,000 in cash, in fives, singles, and 20s, right? So we do the scene the first day. It's going to take 3 days to shoot the scene. And after we finish, the prop guy walks over to Bob and says, Bob, $1,200 is missing. What do you mean missing? You got to turn in the money at the end of the thing. They stole the money. So, I mean, you can't make this shit up, right? So the next day they come back to work. We go, guys, you can't take the money. Money's props. So they put the money back. You're like, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know. I didn't realize. Of course they realized. They're full of shit.
Of course they did. And, that
a lie in these guys. But literally, we had to like search them after we did the scene. It was like crazy. And then a few of them said, no, I can't come tomorrow. I got to take my wife shopping. What are you talking about? You're in the scene.
Right. You can't just not be there all of a sudden. Put them in the bathroom.
I'm telling you, it was crazy.
Yeah, the put them in the bathroom to me is one of the most iconic lines from that movie to this day.
Sonny used to put Mush in the bathroom. That's a true story.
He really did.
Yes. Oh, yes. What I did was I put everybody in the bathroom. That made it even funnier. So, but Sonny used to throw Mush in the bathroom. When he was on a win streak, he said, get Eddie Mush, lock him in the bathroom. Now, a jinx.
Now, didn't that kind of play a part in the movie too? Didn't Robert De Niro get hurt right after you brought Mush in, or is that just urban legend?
As soon as we let me tell you, I know more about Mush. As soon as he brought Mush in, Robert De Niro broke his foot. I'm talking with Eddie on the set. Listen to this. I'm talking with him the first day on the set. The flower pots they have in the windows?
Yeah.
Falls off the window and just misses me. Crashes right next to me. I go, Eddie, get away from me. Eddie Mush was such a big gambler. Listen to this. The bookmakers would not take his bet anymore. Now, you would say, why is that? He would lose, right? No. All the guys in the neighborhood would wait and see who Mush bet and then go the other way. So the bookmakers was losing money. So they forbid him to bet anymore.
Because he was tilting it.
Yeah, he was tilted. When Eddie Bush died, Mount Carmel Church, I have never, till this day, I've seen it happen. Bush died about 12, 13 years ago. I've never seen it happen since. They carried the casket out. They went to put it in the hearse, right? It was a flat.
No.
Have you ever, a flat tire?
He has a black cloud over him.
Poor Mush.
Tire. Laura, listen to me. Flat tire that they couldn't
It's never happened before.
never. No. Plus, thank God the funeral parlor was really close, so they just put another hearse and they switched hearses. But everybody was laughing. Everybody.
Oh man, it's just perfect. It's just it's sometimes
right?
Yeah, you can't write a better ending. But before I moved to the next film that I wanted to talk about, these stories and so much more. Chazz has a podcast now, the Chazz Palminteri Show, which is available both wherever you can get podcasts and on YouTube. I've watched them all. You have better production value than I do, first of all, which I've been doing this for 10 years, so well done, firstly. But, Chazz tells these stories, and I said it when we started, like, the stories themselves, as you're incredibly talented, but at the same time, you have so many just fantastic stories. It's just the way you tell them. And so far, I think there's 5 episodes out, right. And they're great. So everyone should go check out the YouTube channel, check out the podcast, because it's just this over and over again, which I could listen to all day.
Yeah, I was just listening to the Stephen Baldwin one, which was so funny. Yes. And I love when you tell the story about going to school at Lee Strasberg. And they said, what was it, like the best artists have lived?
Yes.
And I was like, well, there's Bronx Tale right there.
Yeah. There's Bronx Tale right there. Lee used to say that the best artists, the best actors are people who lived. They have something to say, something to share, something to reach back and use as actors and writers, as filmmakers, as artists, And I think he's right. I really do.
Yeah. So I want to move on. The next film you do, and I don't know if you film them chronologically as to when they were released, so forgive me if I'm a year or so off. I'm a huge fan of the work of Woody Allen. I think he's a fantastic filmmaker. Just phenomenal. And you do Bullets Over Broadway, which gets you your first Academy Award nomination, firstly. And, in a style that is probably drastically different from The Bronx Tale in so many ways. Period piece, very, very funny. Wise guyish again, so it's not too far from the last one. I'm so curious of what the process is working with someone like Woody and what he's like as a filmmaker versus, because I got to assume that, he's a little similar to what you think and what he portrays, because he seems very, very hands-off in a lot of ways. Eccentric, but hands-off and maybe just uncomfortable talking to people.
He doesn't like to talk to actors about what to do. In fact, he never talks to you. In fact, you hope he doesn't talk to you, because if he does start talking to you, that means you're going to get fired.
Really?
He's legendary for firing people. Like, he shot a movie 3 times. 3 times. Fired the cast, shot it again, fired the cast, fired the cast. It's legendary for that.
Wow.
So he doesn't, the first time I tried to talk to him a little about my character, he just went, Chazz, please. You know how to do it. Just do it. I don't have to tell you anything. Just do it. And I go, okay, Woody. And that was it. I never spoke to him again about it.
Wow.
The only time he ever said something to me and John Cusack was the scene where him and I we're at the bar, and we have a very long scene at the bar. Long scene, like 8 pages long. And you really have to know your lines, because Woody does not do coverage. So if you don't do coverage, you got to do it all in one take. So you better know your lines. So Woody was shooting it. Just before he shot it, he says, I want to talk to you. Hold it. The way he does it. Wait. That's what he does. So he comes walking over, and he goes, and I go, and me and John Cusack going, uh-oh, what is he going to say to us? And he walks over to us and he goes, fellas, it's a very long scene. the Knicks are on at 8:00, speed it up. That was his direction. The Knicks are on at 8:00, speed it up.
Wow.
But you know what? It was a great direction because it made us aware that we can't, scene was very long to really pick it up the pace,
Yeah, and this was the one where I think I remember this, where you and John Cusack are sitting at the bar, and it's when the John Cusack's character finally starts to realize that he needs your writing, and that, like he starts to respect the fact that you're adding something to his play.
Well, see, the thing about Woody was he doesn't like intellectuals, and he thinks that some people are born with a gift. They didn't go to Harvard, they didn't go to Yale, but they have a gift that they can do it. And the other person who went to all these great colleges, he's not as good as this other guy who has the gift. See, so because he goes, I practice accordion. Cusack says, he goes, but there was this one girl who could just hit one note and it sang forever, So Woody always talked about that, and it was so amazing because he said that I was born to play the part, because here I was, a guy from the street. I mean, I went to college. I went to Bronx Community College, not a great college, but when I say not a great college, it's not an Ivy League college, but, I was a writer. I could write. I was a natural writer, And he goes, you were born to play this part, Chazz. And so it was just perfect for me, a guy who's a thug, but who's really talented as a writer.
Right.
So, it was just one of those things that was just the perfect guy for the perfect part,
So does he ever even do like a table read to give you a sense of what the vibe is supposed to be? Or do you just show up on set and with no communication and just go?
Just go.
Wow.
So you just make the character your own. You don't really.
Yes, Laurie. He believes that if you cast the person, look. Marty Scorsese was the same way. They believe directing is 85% casting. If you have to tell the person how to play the part,
you cast the wrong person.
You cast the wrong person.
Yeah.
You cast the wrong person,
It makes sense. And so what was it like working with John? Like, I'm a huge fan of John Cusack as well.
Oh, John is just a great actor. Always on time, always professional, always asking questions. With the other actor, let's make this better. Just phenomenal. It was like, I love working on that show. I just love working on it because I was working with such a high level of actors, Diane Weiss. I think we got nominated for, 8 Academy Awards, something like that. Yeah. And Diane Weiss won.
She was fantastic.
She was fantastic,
Yep.
Jennifer Tilly got nominated, and Jennifer was fantastic.
She was too. And, and one of the things that I noticed too is, when Woody is not in a film, he has someone play the Woody part, and that's what John Cusack's part was. You could tell, like the same type of nervous type of mannerisms and stuff. And John had that to a point, but he still kept it himself, Yeah,
still John, yes. It was still John. And the great thing about Woody is if he thinks you could improvise, he lets you improvise. And he let me improvise a lot, and he let Jennifer Tilly improvise. So her and I, we just had just the ball improvising, that famous line in the movie when I kill her and I say, thank God I don't have to hear that voice anymore.
Right.
That was my line. The original line was, you're not ready for Broadway. And I did his line, but then I did my line, and he says, I like your line better, And I said, well, Woody, I don't, it's your movie,
Yeah, whatever you want to do.
Whatever you want to do, But I love the line that Diane Weiss used to say, don't speak, don't speak.
Yeah, don't speak. Over and over again.
I told Diane, I said, Diane, I'm going to say that line. She was, how are you going to say that line? I said, I'm going to find a spot where I'm going to say that line, Diane. Okay. So my last shot in the movie, they kill me, and I lay down, and I tell him the new ending, and I go, let's see if I remember. Tell Sylvia Poston she's pregnant it'll make it something like that.
Right.
It'll make a great ending. And I'm supposed to just die. But I did it just like Woody said. Then I said, Woody, can I do one more? And he said, you got it. We don't need it. I said, Woody, please, let me do one more. And he said, fine. So I went, tell Sylvia Post that she's pregnant. It'll make a great ending. And just I'm about to die. John Cusack's just about to say something. And I put my hand on his mouth. I go, don't speak.
Don't speak.
And then I died.
Yep.
Well, Woody, he just looked at me and shook his finger.
But he put it in. That's the one.
He put it in.
That's the writer in you right there for sure.
That's the writer, yes.
You know. So you go from Bullets Over Broadway to another iconic film. You do Usual Suspects.
Yeah, that was pretty amazing.
I mean, it's
that whole cast. Oh my god!
Not only the cast, but the fact that you were able to do such a great. It's a clinic with you and Kevin Spacey. It really is. Like it's a clinic. The two of you going back and forth is unbelievable, and it really is the spine of the entire movie.
Yes. Well, the funny thing about that, Rob, was I was doing another movie right after that called Mulholland Falls with Nick Nolte, and I only had like 8 days in between two movies that I was doing, and that's when I shot Usual Suspects. So I only had 8 days available. So what they did was they put me and Kevin in a room for 8 days straight, and we shot everything. And then they started the movie right after that.
Makes sense.
Wow.
You know? So every day we had to go in there and just do, it was like a play, him and I. And then they put it into the movie in different spots. It's great.
Yeah, and that is, that is a great, using the play analogy is it makes a lot of sense because all three of these films we've been talking about do have that play feel to them.
Yes.
Bullets Over Broadway certainly does, and Usual Suspects. Do you do a lot of work with Kevin before you actually film on that? Because the most of the movie is you and him having that conversation, and then they build the story around it.
I met Kevin in the first day of shooting. Mm-hmm. I met him the first day of shooting. So. Wow. It's never really, it's okay because we're used to that. The only time it gets a little weird is when you meet, the first day you shoot with someone, like the first day I shot with Isabella Gianni, the beautiful Italian actress. I had this like kind of love scene with her. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of weird, go, hi. Yeah. Oh, hi, I'm Chazz Palminteri. She goes, hi.
You get naked.
It's like kind of weird,
Yeah.
That gets a little strange, but you try to talk it over. You try to talk to her and make her feel at ease, and hey, if there's anything that bothers you, just let me know. We'll do this. We'll go slow right away. You make them feel okay.
Right, sure. So once you have this, did you think Usual Suspects was going to take off the way that it did?
Oh no, of course not. I thought it was a good movie. I didn't know it was going to take off like that.
Yeah, because it's and again, like there are iconic scenes in a lot of films. We'll go back to Bronx Tale. I'll use the car door as the locking the car door iconic scene. Put them in a bathroom iconic scene. Usual Suspects, the reveal, for those who haven't seen it, I won't ruin it, but you should really watch it at this point. I mean, it's been...
Yeah, he's not seen it. We can ruin it for you.
No.
Yeah.
But I don't want to ruin it because I don't want people to stop and go, I haven't seen it. Now they want to watch it. You should. But during the reveal, again, one of the most iconic scenes in 90s filmmaking, there you are again. So all of the hard work you did, all of those moments of just kind of sitting... writing your own stuff on a notepad. Now here you are, one after another, being an integral part of filmmaking in that time. It's right. Impressive.
Well, the great thing about it is, I started off with all those films, bam, right out of the box. And, it cemented my career, and I've been working ever since for the past 30-something years. So it's been great.
Mm-hmm. And then you... there's so many in between. I almost wanted to ask you, what films have you done that don't get talked about as much that you wish people would see? Like,
A Guide to Recognizing the Saints. I mean, the people in the industry love it, but a lot of people not in the industry never saw it. And it's a great, I think it's one of my finest performances. I think it's one of the great films by Dino Montiel, who wrote it and directed it. It's a phenomenal film, Guide to Recognizing a Saint. I really love Jade. I really like Jade. I
love Jade.
Yeah, I thought Jade was really good too.
I really like Jade. I love the Mulholland Falls, and I love Hurly Burly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Hurly Burly was really good. That's true.
Really loved. I try to do good movies. You can't always. Sometimes you do one for the beach house, and you do one for the. You go, whoa, how much they're offering? Jeez. And my wife is always like, you got to do it.
Yeah, right.
You say, what are you going to do? Sit around for 2 months? I just want to make this money. And I go, she's right. So a few of those you do that, Do you know there's like 7 movies? I made close to 60 movies. I would say 7, maybe 7 or 8 that I never saw. I never saw them.
Wow. So, because I was going to ask you that, like some people, do they watch their own? So there are movies that you've done that you've never even watched?
About 8 of them.
Wow. So you don't want to just at one point just go back and watch them?
Just a weekend.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I just never got around to it. I just never saw it,
What's that feeling like when you first walk into the theater for Bronx Tale, your first movie, and you get to sit there and watch that screening? Like, I mean, we will never know what that feels like, but that must be phenomenal.
You mean the musical?
No, we'll get to musical next, but I'm just talking about the film. Like, to walk in and see your first film on the screen. I mean, were you nervous? Were you nervous it was going to take off or not? Like, what was your reaction to it?
I knew it was really good. I knew it was good. I didn't know how good, but I remember seeing it, and we screened it before, we showed it, and I just knew it was good. Mm-hmm. I knew the scenes worked, and I'll tell you why. I mean, I literally knew where the laughs were going to be, because when you see the one-man show, which I'm going to make sure you contact me, all 3 of you, I'll have 2 tickets for each of you, for your wives, your husbands, whatever.
That would be fantastic.
It's literally word for word as the movie, as the musical. So I knew where they were going to laugh. And it's sure than hell, when they did certain scenes in the film, they laughed, because I knew it, because I did it already. So I felt really confident. And I mean, look, the film became a classic, and people love it. They study it all over the world, in colleges. It's like a perfect movie, and really Bob De Niro was just a brilliant director who made it. Look, a bad director can mess up a great script.
Oh, without a doubt.
And a great director can't make a bad script good. So I attribute the whole success of Bronx Tale to Bob, really. He put it and brought it on the screen and made it great. He really did.
Now, let's get back to the musical. So, first of all, how does that come about? And secondly, are you hesitant when they bring the idea to you? Because this is your baby.
No, not at all, because I always felt that would make a great musical.
Ah, okay.
Because it had a great story behind it. Everything comes down to the story, guys. If the story is good, then the only thing you can do is mess it up. You just follow the story. And look who I had. I mean, who do I get to write the music? Alan Menken, 8-time Academy Award winner.
Yep.
Come on. Glenn Slater, 3-time Tony guy. But Tommy Mottola produced it. Legendary Tommy Mottola.
Oh, wow, yeah. So he's the one that got that made?
He's the one who really was the engine behind that.
Yeah.
Bob De Niro, Jerry Zaks, 4-time Tony winner. You got to have great people around you. That's important. I felt the script is great. I want great people around me. So you go for the top people, and they read it and they loved it, so, but still you can mess it up. I mean, still, but it came out great. I mean, I was really excited to see it on stage. I mean, I hate to sound, I hope I don't sound like some bragger, but I'm the first guy. I'm probably going to sound it, so I'm sorry. I'm the first guy ever to write and perform in the one-man show, the movie, and the musical.
Oh wow, that's true. That's great. Yeah. These are things you should be bragging about. You work hard for this, Chazz. That's what doesn't come.
Well, I'm proud of that because A Bronx Tale is such a legacy for me and for my family, and for my mom and dad, and I see them on stage all the time.
Yeah. It makes total sense. So now on your podcast, in addition to that, we definitely have to point out that Chazz, and now Laurie's been here, but Chazz has a restaurant too.
Yes,
two. He has one is a pizza type of restaurant, and the other one is a full blown Italian restaurant, right?
One is a very high end restaurant. The Italian restaurant Chazz Palminteri is in Manhattan.
Yes, I've been there, and it is really good. And the staff told me that Chazz comes in here a lot.
I do.
We were expecting to see you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm not there every day, but I do. I do a lot, and we're still open. And obviously, we're doing 35%, and we're opening another place on Mamaroneck Avenue, 264 Mamaroneck in White Plains.
Oh, great!
And that opens in about 3 weeks. So I'm excited about both of them.
Good for you. Yeah, Laurie told me as soon as I said that you were doing the show, she started talking about the food.
I was like, I ate at the restaurant. It was delicious. I had the bronzino.
Oh yeah, bronzino. That's great.
Oh, so good. Clams oreganado.
Well, I told them. I said, look, if we're going to open up a restaurant 3 years ago, I said it's got to be great. I said because I'm Italian, my name's on it.
Right.
Said, my friends are going to come here.
Yeah, and I think there's so many of these like trendy kind of Italian restaurants, which are okay, but this is the real deal.
Yeah,
traditional.
And even the
so
decor,
good.
like I have the decor up, like this is a traditional Italian restaurant.
Yes,
yeah.
Because my friends will tell you if it's bad. They'll tell you. They'll say, Chazz, the place sucks. They'll tell you. So the restaurant had to be great, and it is great. And the one on White Plains is going to be great. And in that one, we're going to be serving coal-fired pizza, which is nice.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. And then, I also, there's so much that you're involved in right now. And you're also, you doing coaching for people too, who need coaching and acting.
I used to do 3 master classes a year at one-on-one studios in Manhattan. But because of COVID, I can't do it anymore. So I've been doing it for the past 10 years. So I have all these students who've been calling me the past year and saying, we're dying here. You got to come back. And I go, I can't teach.
Yeah.
They said, well, teach privately on Zoom. So I said, okay. So I've been teaching. I don't do a lot. Just, I try to do 3 or 4 a week. That's all. I just wanted to, keep them happy.
Yeah, sure.
Great actors and great kids, so kids, they're all older, but I like doing it.
Yeah, and if you're interested in any of these, you can just simply go to chazzpalminteri.net. He has everything there. It's a really nice website. I really strongly recommend you check out the podcast. I'm sure there's a lot more to go. He's only got 5 episodes, and as you can tell by the 45 minutes he's been with us, one story after another. And,
there's so many stories.
I know.
And good ones.
You know what's funny? I just kind of passed in high school. When I got to college, I was a much better student because I really applied myself, and I realized that, hey, you really got to work at this to get good grades.
Yeah.
And I was a much better college student, but I always had a natural ability. I had like this, I don't know if you want to call it a photographic memory, but I just remember everything growing up and every story and every incident that happened to me. It's like I could relive it immediately. And I think that's why I love to write, because the stories just come out of me. They just spill out. I can't control them. I remember everything. It's kind of weird.
It's great though, because that's so much to draw from. I'm sure you're writing things that no one's ever seen, that just to write them and to get them down. That's what we're.
Yeah, I just sit there and I write, and I remember, you remember this? And my friends go, yeah, you remember when this happened and that happened? They used to let me tell the story. Let Chazz say. And sometimes I wasn't even there. They would say, you tell the story. You tell it better. I go, but I wasn't there. But you say it, Chazz. You say it.
Right. Rightfully so.
I don't know. I just was, I was a storyteller. Well, storytelling is the first form of theater. The cavemen would sit around a fire and they would tell a story about what happened that day. people would laugh and people would, get emotional. That was for a form of acting. That's where it started, right from there.
Yep. So what's next for you, Chazz? Besides all of this stuff, are you taking the one-man show? Do you take it on the road? Do you just do it locally here in the tri-state area?
I take it all over the United States. I take it all over. Again, if you go to chazzpalminteri.net, my schedule will be up there, or my Instagram, it'll be up there. Also, I can't believe I'm not even mentioning this, but I have to. I'm in 2 series that are coming out now, 2 TV shows. I'm in Godfather of Harlem.
Oh, wow.
I'm in Godfather of Harlem with Forrest Whitaker. This is our 2nd season. It's on Epix. It's me, Forrest Whitaker, Paul Savino, Vincent D'Onofrio, Giancarlo Esposito.
Wow, that's a good cast.
Just a great cast.
Seriously.
That's a great cast. And I'll be in the I can say it. They're going to make it's going to come out April 1st. I am in the big opening premiere of the new show Law and Order Organized Crime with Chris Maloney.
Oh, that's great.
That's so awesome.
That looks really good.
April 1st, that's coming out. April 1st. So
that's awesome.
It's great. With Dylan McDermott is fabulous in it. Great.
Yeah. So is that a recurring, or are you just on the first one?
No, just the first step. I'm really doing the other show in Godfather. So I got it.
I was looking at your history, and you did an SVU, like 5 years ago, right? Law and Order SVU.
5 years ago, that's exactly correct. I love people when they interview you. They look at what you've done. I mean, you guys are all pros. You read up on the person, you know about them, you talk to them. I mean, sometimes you do an interview and, that doesn't happen often with me, but it has happened where you go, hey, man, when I interview somebody, I do my research,
Mm-hmm.
But
I could read the menu to your restaurant right now if you want me to, at least the appetizers.
Well,
my compliments to you guys. You guys are all pros. I'm glad about that.
I'm just the looks here, by the way. That's all
he's
I'm
the
here
handsome
for.
one. That's he's the guy. He's the guy we put in the bathroom, Chazz.
Well, his name is Franco, so he's okay.
All right, but we appreciate that. But you should also know that the reason why that is because we only invite people on that we are big fans of and that we really respect their work. So it's easy for me to ask questions about something that I love. Right. So that plays a big part in it too.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. But I just wanted to mention that it's always nice to work with people who really are pros. Because I have OCD and I'm like a fanatic about things. Everything has to be right. That's why I got really upset that I have to be on this computer right now when I have all my great lights and everything over there. But I didn't have Chrome on that system, so I said, all right, I'll just do it here.
Yeah, that's something I'm going to have to work out. But,
although I put Chrome on that. As soon as we finish here, I'm going right over to that system. As soon as we finish here.
All right. Well, you know what? If you ever would like to come back and promote anything else, you're more than welcome to be here anytime, Chazz. We had such a great time talking to you.
I love the podcast so much.
Thank you so much. Next week is going to be funny because the title of it is Neighborhood Logic. So I do all these stories and how to solve it with neighborhood logic.
That's great.
Very fun.
Perfect. Well, just hang on 1 second. I'm going to wrap this up, but I want to talk to you for 1 more second afterwards.
Sure.
Once again, please, everyone, go check out everything that Chazz has to offer, especially the podcast. But go to chazzpalminteri.net. I told him beforehand, we're going to find the guy who has the .com. We're going to pay him a visit, New York style. We're going to get you the .com. Don't worry. We're going to work on it. You don't have to have any involvement in it. But go check out the podcast. Check out the restaurant, the site, everything that he's involved in. Thank you for listening to The Whole. I am Robert Sprance.
I'm Franco Del Valle.
I'm Lori Levine.
Later.